looks like what you guys are about to see, something I talked briefly about earlier this week, is very, very much a possibility.
My question, I'll start with you.
Joe Biden has been a phenomenal president. He's lived up to so many of the promises he's made. There's one promise left that he could fulfill, being a transitional figure. He could resign the presidency in the next 30 days, make Kamala Harris the president of the United States.
Whoa.
It would absolve her from being able to, from having to oversee the January 6th transition, right, of her own defeat. And it would make sure that it would dominate the news at a point where Democrats have to learn drama and transparency and doing things that the public
There
want
are
to see.
so many things wrong with that I really and truly don't know where to start, but we're going to be going through it all this video here, and also the possibilities of, let's just say, the diversity, equity, and inclusion nominee will probably still get what it is that she wants anyways in some manner or another. She won't be president, meaning that she will not be president beyond a certain day if the Democrats choose to do this. However, like I said, there's a lot more wrong with what that man said than what you guys saw. And we're going to be diving into all of that, and also something else too to keep in mind for this video. We're also going to be talking once again about the future of said party, because once you've angered the donors, you've pretty much lost them. But before we get started, make sure you guys please go ahead and cut the notifications on. Please go ahead and hit the like button so that way the video will take off up the algorithm. Make sure you guys stick around for the full piece. Also share the video. You can also follow me on Facebook. You can also follow me on Twitter, also called X, which I still call Twitter from time to time. And let us go ahead and get started. So what you saw right there was the Kamala Harris campaign staffer saying that Joe Biden should resign the presidency as a cancellation prize to Kamala Harris to spare her the embarrassment of having to oversee her own loss. Richard Nixon was vice president in 1960, going into 1961, after he had lost an extremely bitter election to John F. Kennedy, an election that, by the way, many people think was stolen, and he oversaw his own loss. There was a point that was made the other night on the Patrick Bet David podcast. It was on election night, and I think it was Candace Owens. I'll try to bring that clip up and use it in the very next video that I do, because we're going to be talking about Cenk Uygur's humiliation ritual and the online left this week. Of course, there's going to be a lot of videos coming out to finish out the week, but the reason why I'm bringing that clip up is because what she said was because she said that we had already been through this twice where a woman had lost the presidency. And of course, the thing that she was referencing was the fact that the night that Hillary Clinton had lost, she refused to address her voters. The exact same way that Kamala Harris, while at Howard University, she chose not to address her supporters either, knowing that she was about to lose. Makes you wonder if she was shit-faced, or makes you wonder if she just really and truly was that whooped. I've said it time and time again. I'll say it again for the purpose of this video here. If we ever have a woman president, it will be a Republican. It will be a conservative. It will not be a liberal woman. I think you guys have already seen two separate liberal women run out there and get their butts destroyed. However, go back to what my man said. Go back to what he said. We want to spare her the embarrassment of having to oversee her own loss. And it would show the country just how transformative we are. This right here is a political party that has protested every single Republican election win since 2000. This is a political party that literally egged on the destruction of property, black-owned businesses in 2020. This is the same political party that ran on kitchen table issues in 2018, only to then focus on impeaching the President of the United States. This is a political party that obstructed a President of the United States' agenda, his first term, as well as Republicans too. This is a political party that has also called you stupid. They've called you uneducated. They've called you racist. They've called you misogynistic. They have attacked you, the American voter, primarily conservatives, and even some other left-leaning individuals as well. They've attacked Hispanic men. They've attacked black men. They've attacked white women. Do you honestly think that people are going to give a shit about what this woman's feelings are? Wait, that's right. Another Kamala Harris stan is now coming out suggesting that because of her loss, she still be given some form of role. Of course, that person being Bakari Sellers, but listen to the reason why he wants this.
Now, if we're able to replace it with a Biden justice, it will still be 6-3. The possibility of Justice Sotomayor having to resign or retire in the next 4 years is extremely high. You couple that with Alito and Clarence Thomas.
Yeah.
then that means that you go from a 6-3 court to a 7-2 court in terms of conservative versus liberal. And so I hope that Joe Biden makes the next 10 weeks as consequential as he can. I don't care about drawing outside the lines or what Republicans may think about it. This is within your purview. You can actually do it, and you should do it. And, one more thing, John, is you have a hell of a vice president right there who has a legal pedigree to sit on the Supreme Court. And let Republicans go crazy and ape. I'm even mentioning that option.
You floating? Are you floating? This is 7:39 a.m. on the East Coast. Did Bakari Sellers just float Vice President Kamala Harris as a potential Supreme Court nominee?
Not only am I floating it, but I want to stir up everything. I want people's heads to explode this morning, so we go into the weekend just knowing that the chaos has not ended just yet. Explode this morning, so we go into the weekend just knowing that the chaos has not ended just yet.
Kamala Harris's legal experience is really not good. We already have a diversity hire on the Supreme Court. Her name is Ketanji Brown Jackson, and she's an absolute disaster. I listened in on the 14th Amendment case for Donald Trump. I also listened in on the immunity case, because you can go to the Supreme Court actually on YouTube, and you can actually listen to it. And anytime that woman spoke, it seemed to me like she just didn't have much of an IQ. Definitely not the IQ for the Supreme Court. And Kamala Harris's IQ is a little lower than Ketanji Brown Jackson's. And of course, we all know her past with Willie Brown, downtown Willie Brown, and how it was that she just kind of ran around to kind of get where she was. Not exactly a good pick, but then again, at the same time, according to Bakari Sellers, we're doing this to piss off conservatives, which is also hopium too, because how do you put her on the court? Seriously, how do you put her on the court, especially with Justice Sonia Sotomayor not wanting to resign? You got a better chance of getting Kay Hagan to resign, or you have a better chance of impeaching Ketanji Brown Jackson and maybe replacing her with Kamala, but I don't see it happening. Fact of the matter is, these people are reaching for anything they can because they do not want to accept the fact that they lost. But then the topic goes to the donors. The Democratic Party is a party that relies heavily on donors, exactly like the Republican Party does too. But the Republican Party under Donald Trump is, let's just say that they've put themselves more in the camp of small dollar donations, meaning this money that comes from you guys, the viewers, the working class, people who don't make as much money as the wealthy class. Once you've pissed them off, it's over. They're not going to support you going forward. But before we get to that, let's play the first half of this segment from Fox News, because once again, Democrats are going to try to tell us that they're going to try to pivot back to the center.
Under President Biden, Megan Hayes. I'm so glad to have you both on. I thought this was, Megan, I'm going to start with you because I feel like the Democrats are the ones that are reeling and trying to figure things out. So this was from a CNN focus group. They asked, pick one word to describe Republicans and Donald Trump, and one word to describe Democrats and Kamala Harris. Crazy, said the white woman in her 40s who hadn't gone to college. Then preachy, and asked to pick between the two words. The woman said she'd probably go with crazy because crazy doesn't look down on me. Preachy does. I'll let you take that wherever you want. I'm curious if you heard anything different over the weekend that would enlighten us as to how Democrats are going to grapple with this loss.
No, I think that's absolutely right. I think that Democrats have lost their way. We abandoned the working class. The electorate is more moderate than I think that the Democrats were expecting it to be this time around. I think that, we do need to refocus and recenter ourselves, and we need.
I hate to tell you this, but you guys are married to identity politics. Is what you guys will be known for. It's what you've played for the past 4 to 10 years. Matter of fact, you could argue that they've actually played it ever since the days of Obama, his first term. The minute he got in the pulpit and started whining about how it was he couldn't get things done, when in reality, according to Ed Klein and many others on the Hill, they basically stated that the reason why Obama didn't get anything done is because Obama was lazy and did not want to get anything done. And of course, he was super smug. But I did say we were going to talk about the donors. Well, let's get to that.
Founding, Alexa, how much money was spent to get so little on the Democratic side? Watch.
The truth is, this is just an epic disaster. This is a $1 billion disaster. Jen O'Malley Dillon promised all of us that Harris would win. She even put videos out saying that Harris would win. I believed her. My donors believed her. And so they wrote massive checks. I feel like a lot of us were misled.
And then, Alexa, I was looking at this, the $1 billion campaign, and some of the things they spent, $15 million plus for celebrity event production. They paid Oprah Winfrey's organization $1 million. And they were still asking all of these people to give small dollar donations to the campaign.
Right. And you see now, after that has come out and that they paid the Call Her Daddy podcast over 6 figures, that's even more egregious now, knowing that FEMA purposely was directed to ignore Trump houses, signs with Trump houses. That's terrible. And this...
There is a reason why I'm not touching this famous scandal, because as someone who is a native North Carolinian, it does burn me up, but it takes a while for me to not get riled up about it, because if I got riled up about it, I would probably be removed from YouTube. However, there are a lot of people out there, I'll try to link a couple of videos in the description box, who have reported on this. People from Ben Shapiro to Michael Knowles to Actual Justice Warrior to Black Conservative Perspective, which Greg Foreman I have to give a lot of credit to, because he too is also a North Carolinian like myself. But in my case, I would probably lose my temper if spoken about. That's the reason why I've not talked about this famous scandal. Basically, what happened was that they chose to, an employee chose to just bypass houses that had Trump signs in them. Don't give them any help. That's what the current government thinks of you. To those donors. Kamala Harris's campaign was fueled primarily by big dollar donations, millionaires. Of course, we had a conversation about this earlier this year, where it was that they needed to make her the nominee, so that way she would get access to the $30 million that Joe Biden had, and there was an additional 90-some odd million dollars that was being held up for the Democratic Party nominee when Joe Biden dropped out. Joe Biden got out of the race. Next thing you know, you see the money come in. Donors typically tend to give their money on the premise that the Democrat nominee or whoever it is that they're donating to will in fact win the elections. Part of the reason why it is that so many people, myself included, believe that the real owners of the country, the real people driving policy, are the big time donors. And when you go in and you actually look at a president's first or second term, you see that a lot of the things that they ran on, they did not do. Trump is probably the first president I think I've ever seen that actually did try to get what he wanted to do done. And it looks to me like he'll be able to get some of it done this time around. We'll probably talk about Trump's second term tomorrow. I'll probably mix that in with my online left going forward, and then probably Jinx humiliation ritual on Thursday. I'm kind of doing this thing where I'm reporting, I'm kind of doing a video that I wanted to make, kind of like a post-mortem, and then something that was trending. This right here being the trending video, the video that comes out at 12 o'clock being the more, well, let's just say the more deep dive on what's going on. But the point is this right here. This situation with the donors and them owing money is going to hurt the Democratic Party going forward, which is part of the reason why it is that I believe that even in 2026, with a Senate map that doesn't really favor anybody and a House map that would favor them, it probably will result in Republicans winning by default because the Democrats are so divided. And something else too to consider is that they're going to be arguing over ideology, and of course diversity, equity, inclusion, and racial politics is going to be coming up a lot going into 2026. I see a lot of Democrat voters, a lot of left-leaning voters staying home in 2026 in the midterm elections because somebody did not meet the needs of the victimhood coalition, or demands, however you might want to call it. The donors are seeing this, and the donors are saying you need to change your party. We're not going to donate 1 red cent until you start to actually change things, because there are wealthy Democrats out there. The left will tell you that they want to raise their taxes and make them pay their fair share, but let's be honest, they're not going to be paying their fair share, and yeah. I don't think Trump's going to touch them either anytime soon, at least for the first 2 years, because he's going to need a bigger Senate majority after 2026. So, yeah, I don't see the map looking very, very well for these people going forward, nor do I see the donor class being on their side. But then we get to the whole topic that I mentioned before, the original reason why it would be that you would install Kamala Harris. Why would you do that? Well, I've talked about this before, and I've talked about the possibility of a Democrat version of that date that always gets flagged here on this channel. So who do we go to for this? Well, we go to Mr. Civil War, the media guy himself.
Kamala's looking at a deficit of around 7 million votes. And the number's been going down. At first, it was 20. And everyone keeps sharing this meme like, where's the 20 votes? Where's the 20 million votes? I jokingly made a meme as well. But I have been saying it's going to, as more of the tally comes in, because California is super late, we are going to end up seeing a much higher number. I thought it was going to be 10 million. 7 million seems to be the number. What's the response from Democrats? Well, many of them are refusing to acknowledge why it is they lost. They're just saying things like, we need to be more, we need to be meaner. One of my favorite, I think it was Kyle Kalinske. Oh, dude, that guy's spiraling, man. I feel bad for him. He was like, Trump is one of the most dehumanizing, divisive candidates we've ever seen. Democrats have to be nastier, meaner. And I just say, yes, please. These people are in a cult. They don't understand. Trump won the popular vote. It's over. Now they're going, yeah, well, he only won by 4 million votes. And that's one of the...
Yes, there is this conspiracy theory out there that Elon Musk somehow or another got 15 million Democrat Party voters to disappear with Starlink. And because Joe Rogan knew the results 4 hours prior to the election, yeah, there's a conspiracy going on right now that the left is kicking around. It's actually quite hilarious. I mean, it makes me think that maybe QAnon was really Blue Anon, which I always assumed was really and truly a government psyop to keep certain bases of support in place. But as you guys can see, this right here is obviously not working out too well for them. People are just laughing at this. One of the reasons why it is that Joe Rogan might have known the results 4 hours before they were officially announced is because the Trump team's internal numbers were matching the actual votes. You see, on election night, they do this by they make their projections based upon exit polls, which oftentimes when the overall raw vote comes in and gets counted, you see that the number itself may be a little bit higher, a little bit lower. It's part of the reason why it is postmortems are so important. I'm pretty sure you're going to start to see some of those here in a few weeks. I expect to see David Shore's analytics because David Shore, he warned Democrats of playing identity politics going forward beyond 2020. So it's going to be very interesting to see that post-mortem, but let's continue.
Let's say this, okay? Because they're claiming that Elon Musk had a special app. They're claiming that he blew up satellites. I love it. Everyone's joking, saying Democrat January 6th is going to be crazy. Look, guys, there's going to be a Democrat January 6th. I will say this definitively 100%. There will be a Democrat January 6th. Mark my words. Put them in a notebook. Tim Pool said it. If I'm wrong, so be it. But I am saying right now, I think it's a 100% chance. But let me slow you down there. I'm not saying they're going to storm the Capitol on January 6th. I'm saying Democrats are going to protest this inauguration. They're going to protest the vote count. They're going to demand that Democrats do not certify Donald Trump. There will be protests.
I don't know it yet, but he's talking about the possibility of the Democrats trying to install Kamala Harris as president, as I have talked about on this channel before, as a potential possibility. But let's keep going.
This show with Theo Von, and he says Elon Musk had an app that told him 4 hours in advance that Donald Trump had won the election, and the left is claiming now that Elon Musk was using Starlink to manipulate the vote and then destroyed a bunch of satellites. Let's go, baby. Oh, Democrats are poised for their own January 6th. Look, these people can't accept it. But I will tell you a story. I will tell you a story of how this all came to fruition on our end for the production of this great week of election coverage. So I had been in contact with the Daily Wire. They passively mentioned they'd be interested in doing something. We had done a crossover with Crowder and the Lotus Eaters. And I said, why don't we come down and do like the big...
I don't see them doing it this time because she lost the popular vote, not just the Electoral College. But about those protests. Will it be protest, Tim? Will it be just simply protest? Let me explain this to you guys. If they wanted to pull this off, this is what they would do. They would get Joe Biden to resign or something would happen. And they would try to do basically what happened last time, right? You see, the prevailing theory was you protest, somebody in Congress protests, it gets to the vice president, and a senator then comes in and says, okay, we'll clamp down on this, and basically confirms what the protest is. And then what they do is they have a debate, they have a discussion, they try to sway members of the Senate, sway members of Congress to vote their way. And if no conclusion is reached, they eventually go to a 12th Amendment vote, which means that each individual state votes, or the congressmen vote as a state, meaning that if you're like the state of North Carolina, for example, you got like 11 congressmen and you got 7 Republicans, so therefore 7 Republicans would then vote for Donald Trump, so then therefore you would have the state of North Carolina. Whereas a state like, say, California, where you got more Democrats, that's actually what would happen. They would vote as a statewide delegation instead of individual congressmen. It's part of the reason why it was that we were saying that they went to the 12th Amendment back in 2020 with Democrats controlling the House. Donald Trump would still get the presidency because there were more overall statewide delegations that leaned Republican. The point is this right here. This right here would be a situation where they would, in fact, try to do this. And I'm not exactly beyond, let's just say, saying that they won't, because I do believe that they will. I believe that they'll try this, and I believe that it will go wrong. It will go the wrong way. It will probably damage the left going forward. It will damage the DEI coalition going forward. And, of course, the Democrats who've married themselves with the DEI coalition will go out of their way to say this right here is no longer us. But the people do, in fact, have long memories, and they will remember that you tried to install a president that nobody voted for. a president that was overwhelmingly voted against. The fact of the matter is these people are desperate. These people do not like the fact that they lost. These people are not going to be able to accept the fact that they lost. They're not going to be able to accept that the American people were not willing to vote for somebody who they did not get a choice in selecting. They don't like this. They hate this. This right here is, by the way, DEI on full display. This right here is diversity, equity, inclusion on full display. This right here is getting a job, getting a position that you did not deserve. And the American people saw that. But should they try what I think they may try on 1/6/2025, it will just simply be confirmation of what I've been saying the whole time, that the Democratic Party is dead going forward. But you tell me what you guys think, all right? The American public sees this. They'll know exactly how toxic diversity, equity, inclusion, and racial politics is and how toxic identity politics is. So it's a very bad precedent. It's a bad precedent for women. It's a bad precedent for minorities. But you guys tell me what you think in the comments. I would love to hear what you guys have got to say. Make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe, share the video, sound off. I'll see you guys later.